Welcome to Adobe Photoshop CS6, Crop Tool, Eyedropper Tool, Spot Healing Brush, Content Aware Tool, and Brush Tool. After completing this unit, you will be able to crop your images using the new Crop Tool, sample colors using the new Eyedropper Tool, remove blemishes with the Spot Healing Brush, reposition selections using the Content Aware Move Tool, and touch up an image with the Brush Tool. The first tool we will examine in this unit is the Crop Tool. With a new image open in the workspace, I want to crop it and remove the unwanted parts. If I select the Crop Tool here, and I click on the image, a selection is made around the image to allow me to select an area to crop. I can drag the control points to create my crop selection area, or I can double-click inside the image to create a new crop selection box to my specifications. I can also adjust the position of the image within the crop area by rotating the image behind the crop selection area. This is a new feature of CS6, which allows you to easily visualize the final crop once you have completed it, because the crop selection area remains horizontal while the image rotates in the background. Now when I'm satisfied with my selection, I can crop by pressing Enter, or when I select another tool, I am asked to crop the image or don't crop the image. This is where you can make the crop. You can always undo an action with Ctrl+Z, or step back by using Ctrl+Alt+Z to a point when you were happy with your work. Now, as with all tools, you can adjust the properties of the tool up in the Options window. With the Crop tool, you can create a preset tool to use again. Here you can set the ratio of the Crop tool selection area to unconstrained, original, etc. You can even create a ratio of your own by entering the values here. We can cover more detailed options for this tool and its subtools in later courses. The next tool in the toolbar is the Eyedropper tool. This is used for color sampling and allows you to select a color from your image to use with other tools. What you see here is the sampling ring. You can hold and drag around the image to select a color. Inside the ring are two colors, the previous color and the new sample color we are grabbing. You can turn this ring off here if you wish, but I think it is a very effective option to use when selecting a color. Here in the Options window, the other selection option is to sample all layers or just the current one, etc. But we can cover these in future courses. Now, when we select from the image, it makes a single selection from the pixel it is on. This can be altered in the Options window here by changing the sample size. The larger the sample size, the more accurate a color match you can get. So 5 by 5 pixels is usually good for most things, but the largest options are only really useful if you have a very high resolution image. The color you are sampling is appearing here in the foreground color palette. This is the active color for brushes, paint bucket, etc. But we will cover the color palette in more detail in future courses. So once you have a color sample selected, you can release the mouse button and there's the color you want in the foreground palette, ready for use later. The subsets of this tool are here, but these will be covered in future courses. However, you can experiment with them as you become more proficient in Photoshop tools. The next tool to examine is this, the Spot Healing Brush. This tool quickly removes small blemishes from your image. It paints using sampled pixels from around the area in question. We can paint a line over this cable, and it matches the texture, lighting, and transparency, etc. to the area being healed, and it automatically samples from the surrounding area to fill in over the line we have just painted. And as with all tools, you can adjust the options of this tool in the Options window here. Create a preset, change the brush options and mode, but for most spot healing tasks you will want normal mode, and make sure that the Content Aware is selected here. We can explore this tool in greater detail in future courses. The next essential tool is the Content Aware Move tool. This tool is a great addition to the new CS6 toolbox. Once you have made a selection, I'll just freehand create a selection here. If I drag the selection with the basic Move tool, you can see the hole left after it, which is not good. I'll just undo that now, and you can use the Content Aware Move tool. Now with the Content Aware, it can fill in the missing pixels automatically. It samples the image and fills the content. Now you can refine this tool in the Options window by changing its mode from Move to Extend, and its adaptation from very loose to very strict. The final tool we will look at in this unit is the Brush tool. This has not changed much over time, but is still essential for working in Photoshop. This simple tool is basically a very accurate paintbrush. You can left click, hold and drag to paint onto your image, like this. The color is determined by the foreground palette color here. And the size of the brush head is, of course, up in the Options window. Here you can alter the brush head size, hardness of the edge, and select a preset brush. Other options here are mode, opacity, etc. You can experiment with these to find any brush you like. We can explore these options and the subset tools in greater detail in future courses. And as with all brush tools, you can use the shortcut of the square brackets to increase and decrease the size of the brush, like this. The crop tool allows you to resize and rotate your images. The eyedropper samples colors from your image to use with other tools. The spot healing brush can make blemishes disappear. The Content Aware tool allows you to reposition selections without leaving a space underneath. The brush tool lets you paint freehand on top of your image.